Hey, Coach, has got a fantastic guest today. Erik Baker is the offensive coordinator at Findlay High School in Ohio. And he is fresh off of his awards banquet tonight. And he didn't even get to go home. He's at the coach's office still, but he's going to share with us. Coach and I met on Twitter, and he has a two tight end, 4-minute offense that kind of keeps all the rules. You don't have to change any rules to be able to go two tight ends and stay with your normal offense. So, Coach, I appreciate you being here. I know it's a busy night for you, and we can't wait to learn about your two tight end offense.
All right, thrilled to be able to do this. Little background on where we're at. It's Findlay High School's roughly a half hour south of Toledo, Ohio. We're a Division I school. Ohio has 7 divisions, 7 being the smallest, 1 the biggest. We were a playoff team this year, went 33 rounds in, lost to the eventual state runner-up. The head coach and I both had been at the University of Findlay, which is a NCAA Division II school, together. When Coach Adams got the head coaching job, he asked me to come over with him. And it was quite a journey because we had been more or less, if you had to label it, a power spread at the college level, and then by process of elimination of what our kids could and could not do well, we ended up being 4 and 5 wide. Traditional quick game. Our vertical passing game was based off the run and shoot, and we're an inside and outside zone. Where the genesis of the part I'm going to talk about tonight came from was, we got in a situation where when we started rolling, we want to be able to close the door, have a 4-minute offense. And when we would stay in the spread stuff, that basically allowed people to bring people off the edges and just gum stuff up so bad that you got in a situation you didn't want to be in. So as a staff, we talked about that, where the advantages were and different things. And we liked the double tight end look. Because it stretched the front out, it added gaps. So a lot of the pressures that people want to do at the end of the game when they're desperate, you had answers for. But from a passing game standpoint, it allowed us to still be doubles. Your 2 receivers on each side. We kept it very simple. Like we've mentioned off camera, we have a rare quarterback that as a freshman already has 61 offers, 4 from the Big Ten. He can sling it. But at the same time, he's a 15-year-old kid. So you want to limit the amount of processing. And so we didn't want to just run plays for running plays. So that put us to really, from a double tight end look, it almost looks more double wing. You have to excuse me. This is one of the first times I've had to do a Zoom meeting. So I want to do a screen share here. See if I can pull up what I need. So I don't know from your end if you see the I've got a huddle page up.
Yeah, I see your diagram.
Okay, so this to us is ACE. From this, as we go through some of the film, we had the ability we would put one of the tight ends up on the ball if need be. If we were playing a team that they were a dominant, they'd put the 3-tech. We saw a lot of even front. If they put the 3 technique opposite the back, we would try to take advantage of that. And then put a tight end up opposite to make them break the rules. A lot of teams in our area, we'll put a 3-tech to the tight end first, create some conflict. But for the most part, we got the most bang for our buck in was both tight ends off the ball, and it let us do anything we want to do out of a traditional tight end, but it allowed us to pull. At the university level, I coached tight ends and fullbacks for 7 years at UF, and all of our counters were G, Y, or GH counters, where it was a guard and the fullback were the pullers. Very rarely did we ever run what we consider tag, where it was tackle and guard, which is year 24, 25, I believe. So out of a double wing set, we could run counter both ways. We could run outside zone both ways. It took away tells. When we showed one tight end, we ran outside zone to the flexed or the winged off tight end, and ran counter back and inside zone back. And the more we did as we kind of went through the season, defenses started overloading to where they thought outside zone would go, because we were a pretty good outside zone team. And so this made everybody balance out. The presentation itself, we saw in the playoffs almost exclusively odd front. So it turned out well. When you approached me about speaking, I already had something dialed up because of something we had presented to our offense. One of the things we're doing, in the process of doing, is converting some language so it doesn't sound like a paragraph when we call a play. At University of Findlay, and that's the offense we started out installing here, it was very modular. So you had a call for the base offense, and then if the receivers were on or off the ball, if you wanted to bring your outside receivers to the slot and invert it, So what we want to do next year, just to make it really simple with these guys, is doubles, trips, ace. If we do a little bit of an eye set on the goal line, it'd be eye right, eye left, and just really let them play fast. Along with that, so some of the play calling, the first part, we really emphasized this inside zone, outside zone. Our offensive line lend itself more towards the inside and outside zone. We were not the strongest at some of the pulling things. We didn't run power this year, and that had been a core play for our offense the previous the university level. But my right tackle is 6'8", 310. My right guard was 6'7", 305. Our center was 5'10", 230. Our left guard is I think he's ranked 59th recruit in the country. Luke Montgomery is 6'5.5", 280, but runs like a tight end. And our left tackle was a tight end and actually made the move inside, and he was 6'4", 250. So we were bigger than we were agile, but we did a pretty good job of knocking people off the ball. The other thing with the double wing look that we really took advantage of was it created natural seams for if you wanted to run split zone. So in this case, slice for us is the call that we're cutting off the backside with that backside tight end. So the front side tight end could come out, take the first thing outside the box. We cut off the back, and if there was any read at all for the quarterback, it was what we called a +1 read, which is the first guy outside of what the defensive end is, which is normally the end of the line read. So start out with from inside zone. I'll make sure I've got the play speed appropriate here. This is our playoff game versus Dublin Kaufman, which is traditional power out of the Columbus, Ohio area, big school. So this is a good example for us of the back reading and take advantage of the split zone. We wash their front. They were in an odd front. And our backside tight end gets inside out leverage on their outside backer and allows a pretty good cutback. Going to do a different look here.
Coach, it's been a while since I've been in the inside zone world. What is his initial aiming point, and who's he making that cut off of?
Okay, so good question. What our back does, he's reading the first hat past the center, and then so that's his landmark. And then as he's pressing the line, he's looking. What we tell him is you look for flashing color. So if he could just stay on that double team with the line, everything we do is based off of double teams that climb. He'll stay on track. If that window closes, then he's looking cutback. And Isaac James was our tailback. He was a senior, had great vision, and did a really nice job of pressing the line and making his cut at the heel depth, and then jumping back. A lot of times when we've done this in different places. Initially, backs try to predetermine when they make a cut, and it's not nearly as effective that way. So in this case, the line is all pressing. So this is 23. So they're going to be working, if you made it in the simplest terms, their play side gap. We take it even more specific. They're playing through the inside number of the man in their gap. And then if you're covered, traditional rules, covered, you're taking your man. If you're uncovered, you're playing inside hip, looking to see if he's stepping towards you. If he's not, then you elevate. If we're fortunate enough to get people to line up in gap techniques, not head up, then everything starts out as a double, and they make a duo call up front and identify who they're taking the double to. So this again, another rep of inside zone, full speed, different back, but you got the same look. And I'll run that a little bit slower here the next rep.
How about your slot guys? Are you personnel in that? Like, are you guys wide slots sometimes, a majority of the time, then you move them in?
Right.
Do you change?
So we do. So
right.
One of the things we had done at the college level was we were trying to be very simple in our formations, but we ran all kinds of personnel calls basically to align your best receiver on their fish, so to speak. With this, what it let us do, when we went to this personnel group, I took the 2 slot receivers out and we put 2 tight end / fullback kids in, more bigger bodies. But we've also run this formation just as a passing set, just to give it a different look. And the couple 3 times that we didn't major in doing that. It gave the defense problems, because the rule is if they saw that body there, they got into this 8-man front, which gave you space, as you notice, on the outside, and we'll get to that as we talk. This ended up in the playoffs being one of our better passing sets as far as creating space. The receiver at the bottom of the screen is going to college. He's going to be a college basketball player, tremendously dynamic athlete. Had been the quarterback for 2 years and actually asked to move to receiver to have the best 11 on the field. Tremendous, it's rare to find a kid that selfless. They ended up being a first team all conference receiver as well. Previously had been a QB. The other receiver is going to Grand Valley State, which is a traditional Division II power for football and track. He's a 48-second 400-meter runner. So to put them on islands with space was to our advantage. So going back to thought process with the inside zone here, play side tight end has got first thing outside this tackle. In our terminology, we call that's a box call. You have the first man that shows outside the box, and then everybody else is working pods. So you have guard tackle working the end up, backside guard and center working the nose to the mic, backside tackle and backside end working end to threat. So and that's how we practice it during the week as well. So, again, the root of it, what we did was out of inside zone. And then the next thing we would work to, I got ahead of myself, outside zone. Basically, it's the same pods, just the target point was different as far as, we wanted to press instead of going inside number, we were attacking outside number. From a growth standpoint for us, scheme-wise, again, coming from the University of Findlay, we did what was considered a nation call, where it was overtake, meaning like the tackle was actually B gap to scrape linebacker. The guard was trying to overtake his man. The center would go to his. So basically trying to reach a 3 if you had a 3 tech. So, it's elephants on parade. Our guys weren't as good at that. So we went more old school, where basically is you had play side gap, you went to attack the play side number, and you went at the individual level. If the tackle and guard were both covered, if we had an open gap, that allowed us to still combo the edge. But as the year went on, we got more and more out front, so you didn't get a lot of that on the edge. But what you got was tight end on outside backer. Some people might call them dog safeties, and then you got the pods were the DN to the stack linebacker, and then you got the center and backside guard nose to Mike, and then the backside tackle, backside tight end, and the backside end and up. So that having been said, some of the emphasis and the growth we want to do next year, and you'll see on these as fast as our outside receivers were, we need to still improve as blockers. And part of the reason I started following your podcast, I love the idea of running now screens outside, in lieu of having 4 guys try to stalk block. One, I think it'll end up being a motivator for our guys. I mean, it's a live play for them that keeps them engaged, as well as that I think is really going to play well in our schedule as far as the safety play. I see them spinning, trying to defend inside run and a screen on both sides at the same time. So this is outside zone for us. This is just an example of hard run, get in a playoff game, and turned into a maul from rugby that went for over 20. And Isaac's very decisive as far as when he runs outside zone. He has some really big plays off of that attack. Again, outside zone playoff game. This is against Dublin. This is more of an example of the defense overplayed it, and it ended up cutting off tackle. So get back to the beginning here. And that's one of the things we work on in practice is reading the hump was the term. Our head coach is also my tailback coach. And so he does a good job of teaching these guys how to press the edge. And then
so on outside zone, he's reading the defensive end, the D end on top of the tackle.
Correct.
Okay.
So when we go to outside zone, now we're playing basically if you didn't have a tight end, the landmark is the ghost tight end. In this case, we actually do have a tight end. So they're playing, their landmark is actually the tight end's hip, near hip, but the read is that defensive end, the edge of the line, as far as, are they going to puncture B gap or bounce it to the outside? In this case, the DN wanted to press up field, gave us a natural alley to it. I'll pause this one. This one is against Toledo St. John's, which is a traditional power. They routinely put 2 and 3 guys into the D1 ranks. Let me get back to the beginning of it here. So we're playing them in a rainstorm here. And then, so tackle stretches it out. Brett presses it. And then Isaac's pretty good about accelerating and breaking tackles. And then from there, so you get inside out zone, outside zone. We talked about earlier about counter. For us, we're much better as far as it being a guard tight end, guard fullback version of counter. Something we did that's a little bit unique for this area was actually we have the same side counter. We weren't coming across the lap. We were stepping in and stepping back as more of a counter off of inside zone. The action of it, and that really seemed to play very well for us. Before I got into all this, I was basically a wing T, wing I, based offense as a head coach in high school before moving up to college. And it's let us go into like the traditional gap down backer rules, front side, guard kicks out. The second puller, we get an arm length deeper than the first puller, so you can read whether it's kick out or log. Then he has play side linebacker. By doing it out of double tight end, it allowed us to play inside out on the alley defender and get some pretty good leverage off of that. So make sure I got this at the right speed here. All right. So it was, one that not everything was a highlight play. We didn't do a great job of recognizing the spill as far as the kick out, and still got 4 out of it. But the let me make sure I got my play speed here. So this one we hit it a little bit cleaner. Against this is an odd front ish. They covered, almost went to a bear look, covered both guards. So we would make what we call a Bama call, or it's just straight gap. Everybody blocks back. By having the tight end there, that allowed us to have somebody get all the way to the Mike linebacker as far as creating the wall. We did a lot of hold with our offense as well to ID the front and what the safeties were doing structure wise. The counter, and it was a very good play for us, and then something we want to expand with in the next season as far as doing the what we call tag, the tackle and guard version that you guys do. We're in process of working on our rules for that to make sure it fits what we are able to do, and then just one more look at running counter before we go to the next.
I loved in that last clip, you forced them into zero coverage too. I mean, that's
Yeah.
I love this whole package.
The nice thing, and this is their St. John's head coach, had been a Division I defensive coordinator, D-line coach, and he told us after the game this was something he hadn't anticipated it being as effective as it was. They're expecting us to stay in our 5 wide empty stuff and our 4 wide 10 personnel, and he had all variety of blitzes for that. But then when we went to this balanced up look, it made him very vanilla. His only answer was to add bodies into the box.
And that time, did you have the tight end on the right side tight end? He was on the line.
Yeah, that we made a call and put him up, trying to mess with their front a little bit and give him a little better access as far as the angle to get to the middle linebacker, and got good leverage out of it.
Right.
Okay, so that's the 3 runs we would do, inside, outside zone, counter. And then also what we had good bit of success with is, I think this is what, year 5 and 6. I'm trying to remember your terminology. We call it salt for slant and arrow.
7 and 9 in my
7 and 9. So do that. So the clip I've got, I had a freshman tight end in, and he missed his, we call it an MA, and missed assignment, but our senior fullback did not, and did a real nice job with this. So he did it off of play action to try to hold the linebackers in. The other thing that's nice on this, where we're slow mowing through our sideline color here, by being the double tight, with the one back and our quarterback, we started out wanting to be pistol, and our quarterback in the back's preferred side saddle for the play action. It was just simpler for them and cleaner, so that's what we stayed with. One of your other videos, you talked about how you have different tags for when you run this slant arrow. We did the same thing. This game, we actually ran it where the slant was basically creating a rub for the arrow, because of how tight they played man, and it really made the arrow effective. We hit it another time during this game. And then also by doing it with play action, that held the inside, because basically this was a running set. But the nice thing from a backfield standpoint, our head coach and I, when we were working through this, we have a call that just flips the back one side of the formation to the other. And by doing that, it basically created a double tight end, two receiver, two back look. So we had the ability that if you were in an even front and you were setting your front opposite the back, we would just call fly. And as the quarterback started his cadence, the tailback would flip to the other side of the formation, and just we would run the play that way to try to, catch you at the last minute before you get stemmed back. It's a very clean package. So we're, definitely want to expand on next year. We'll have two speedsters again at receiver. I can see us running, reverse off of the outside zone, doing some different things. I really want to play this off season with running Y stick and your hitch boot out of this set. I think that's going to play well out of this. Our area defends the traditional boot really well. It's almost a non-play anymore up here. With linebackers get under the tight end and everybody plays, the fullback coming out of the backfield. But I think that hitch boot is something different. Nobody up here is looking at. And I think that's going to be a really good play for us, especially as athletic as Ryan is, our quarterback. So that was Salt. The other things we did is, like I said, our outside receivers were pretty special for us, as we would go max protect, play action, fade. Both tight ends would stay in. One of the things we grew to, I think at one point at the University of Findlay, we had over 10 pass protections because of play action and some different combinations we did. We're trying to get it down to one with our guys and just window dress everything. Like basically it's as we got into the playoffs, we were in the same quick protection up front. They might have been play action, but we were basically telling the back, just look like you got the ball and run into somebody. If you attach to somebody, that's extra. But it would hold three linebackers, and a lot of times it would hold the safeties in the box as well. So this is just a max version of quick game. Just we want to take advantage of the matchups outside. So it's something we'd thrown multiple times during the year.
Can you run that one again?
This. And this is our young man that's going to college. He's going to be a college basketball player. He can jump out of the gym. So our other receiver was all about running by people. Max wanted to back shoulder everything. He wanted to high point everything, and that was his thing. And we were glad that, when it was clutch time, he was a fun target to be able to have in your back pocket. And then one more clip for you off of this, maybe two. Just running quick hitches, same protection, same action. But when you get the corners to back off, being able to just manipulate, going deep, going short.
That was stealing right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, he's one way. He had like 14 or 15 touchdowns during the year. And I think 6 of them were on tunnel screens. He was our punt returner. He had 2 or 3 punt returns for touchdowns. So if you gave him any space, he was gone. And that was at that point in the game, their starting corner had rotated out, and the kid that was out there was not happy. And so we did some things to introduce him to Ben and play to our strengths. Same play, different side. Against play action max protect. And then a final look from our quick game stuff. Sometimes in coverage, the thing that popped open for us was just quick slants and take advantage of the linebackers kind of taking the cheese inside and where the space is. So, and for us, we felt the nice thing with this set, and as we keep growing with it and going forward, it lends itself. I see us next year with what Ryan can do and the kids around him doing some more of what you guys teach as far as what I've been watching and listening to the air version of the air raid you guys do. Really applies really well to our skill set, and this formation fits in that. So I don't see a lot of double teaching, which I think is important, because time's limited. Even though we're a Division I school, we're very much from a depth standpoint, more like a Division III or IV with the number of guys that play both ways. A lot of our perimeter guys are in rotations. When we practice, we spend as much time on defense as offense. We try to steal reps where we can with people. But a lot of times our offense is running scout for the defense. So anything we can do to maximize our time and the skills and the plays we want to do. And this set did a great job for us down the road. We had a couple games where we not only were 4-minute-0, it was like 6-minute-0, taking it all the way down to the final whistle. And it allowed us to one, stay healthy with that, minimized shots on our quarterback, and it let our backs more often than I'd like to admit. We'd have to give them pep talks, because once we started out being 21 personnel, 11 personnel, wanting to run, but our strengths ended up being with 4 and 5 wide. That's lonely if you're a tailback. So we were like, just hang on, you're going to get your turn. We get to where we want to be score wise with all this, then it's your show. And then we had 2 primary tailbacks and one that was half tailback, half starter at corner, who's really elusive, and he's going to do a great job next year. Well, not when it's his turn. And then they would close it out. So we still, like we had just under 5,400 yards of offense for the season. Had basically 2,600 passing and just at 2,000 rushing. Had a 1,000-yard rusher, and then the other guys by committee, filling in, and that's even including reverses and some gadget stuff mixed in, some QB run. We bring the receiver back in who had been a quarterback for the last 2 years and run zone reads with him and QB sweeps and manufactured touches for him. It is the balance we were looking for. It allowed us to have really good buy-in from the kids. Because I'm a big believer in the Mike Leach philosophy of balance. Isn't 50-50 run pass. It's your playmakers touching the ball. And like our two outside guys, one had 800 yards receiving, the other one had just under 1,000. Both of them had, between 50 and 65 receptions. Our slot receivers, we had 3 kids that rotated for 2 spots. All had 30 plus receptions, and then like I said, we had tailback with 1,000 yards rushing. So that you really couldn't load up on any one guy or any one scheme versus us. And I think the other part, and hopefully we get to talk more at a different date. Our vertical game, we're much more aggressive vertically than a lot of the schools around here. With the passing game, we weren't just a quick game where you could just play cover 3 and sit on everything. We were very aggressive with that, and so there's. I might have started this off with with the school we're at, we were the 3rd staff in 3 years. And some really good guys. The guy who was here before us left to be a defensive coach with the Atlanta Falcons. They just had an awful lot of information to process, and it took us a couple, 3-4 weeks to, some of the stuff was similar, but it was called different things to work our way through that. And once the cups emptied and refilled with what we wanted to do, we really rolled together. I think at one point we had a 7-game winning streak, and we're upsetting people in the playoffs that hadn't been beaten here in over 20 years. So future is bright as long as we keep working and doing what we need to do and play smart.
Coach, that number one, the balance is incredible. Getting that many kids involved in your scheme. I love this double tight look. You got a chance just to manipulate the defense so much and manipulate where the grass is. Even I'm leaning towards the passing game, but it created so much grass for you in the passing game, and then also gave you that duo run. I loved it. I'm gonna steal it quick, man. That's good stuff. And we didn't brag enough on you guys. 3rd staff in 3 years, and you take them to the 3rd round in the playoffs. Got a Division I quarterback, and wasn't his brother a Division I O lineman?
Yep.
So we're joking. They got a younger brother coming up. So we were joking about we need to send them on a cruise because we need some more. We need some more of that bloodline. But it's obvious why you guys were so good. You guys do a great job, scheme wise and balance wise, and very impressive presentation, man.
Oh, I appreciate it, and really enjoy what you do, and best of luck to you in growing it, and keep adding followers.
I thank you, buddy. And
all right, thank you.